Express bus is gone.
About school again?
You got me.
So thank you for coming on. So, 1950. So, what year were y'all married?
1956.
1956.
I graduated from Winthrop in 1955, and I went to teach school in Wagner, which was his hometown.
Okay.
He came home on leave, and I met him after a football game.
Right. And you told me you were determined you were not going to date a soldier, right?
That's right.
And how did that work out?
I didn't date him much because he was in Washington State and I was in South Carolina. We communicated by letter, and he was home twice in that time.
Yeah.
And the third time he came home was for our wedding.
So
long engagement. He gave me a ring on Thursday night, and we got married in church the next Wednesday night.
all right. Just gathered the prayer meeting up and got married at the prayer meeting, huh?
They had prayer meeting, and anybody who was there could stay for the wedding if they wanted to.
All right. That's pretty good. Yeah, a whole week-long engagement.
Right.
But
and we had a church wedding. I had a long white gown and everything.
Yeah. So now where was that?
Smokes, South Carolina.
Smokes?
Smokes.
All right. And so through military career, you ended up in Columbus.
Right.
Eventually. But let's just real quick for everybody, a lot of folks at Mount Zion campus know you and kind of know your background, but now we're part of a bigger church family. We've got hundreds of people over here at Eastern Heights that you probably never met, but so just so they can get a sense of your story and Joe's story. We got how y'all met and got married, but he was a career military guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you were. What did you do?
I was a school teacher.
Right.
Everywhere we went.
And so
almost.
What were some of those places?
Well, we were married in June, and because he was stationed in Washington and was being sent to Alaska, so he left to go to Alaska in June, and I went in September.
Okay.
And we were there for 4 years.
Did you teach school in Alaska?
I did.
Okay. All right.
I taught 5th grade 1 year and kindergarten.
So was that on the base? Or
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. And so at some point, not too long after that, I guess Joe ends up being deployed, right?
Well, he was deployed when we got married.
Okay.
He was deployed to Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
And we were there 4 years.
Right.
My first child was born in the territory of Alaska.
Okay.
My second child was born in the state of Alaska.
All right. Yeah, so a lot of people listening probably don't realize that Alaska wasn't always a state. So what year was that? Do you remember? I see my history's not good enough. So.
Well, Sherry was born in 1957 when it was a territory.
Okay.
Ricky was born in 1959
Okay.
when it became a state.
Gotcha.
And when it became a state, the Yukon River, they put some kind of color in it to make it gold.
Okay.
For the 50th state.
Really? Huh. I wonder if there's any video of
State.
that. That's interesting. So so y'all moved around all over the place. Eventually.
Well, from there we came to Columbus.
Okay. All right. And Joe ended up in his career. He ended up serving overseas.
Quite a bit. Well, he had been in Korea before we were married.
Okay.
Okay. Then from Alaska, we came back to Columbus. And then he got orders for Germany, but when his written orders came back, it was for Hawaii.
Okay.
and we were there for 3 years.
What? Let me ask you a question. When you guys came to Columbus the first time, did you go to Mount Zion then?
No,
Okay.
I went to a church out on Buena Vista Road.
Okay. All right. Okay. So when did y'all end up back in Columbus?
Well, we came back before we went to Hawaii.
Okay.
And we went to Winbrook Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then from there started Mount Zion when he retired in 1977.
Right. Now, is that when you bought your home there where you live now?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We did live off Buena Vista Road.
Right.
That was our first home, was on Buena Vista Road.
Okay.
Off Buena Vista Road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when we went to Winbrook.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess back then it was Winton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winton.
Yeah. It was
Winton.
Right. Before they moved it. Yeah. So that would have been close to where you lived.
Where
yeah.
we lived.
Right. And then you moved way up north in the country. Right. And back then in the 70s was not as much up in that area as there is today. Right.
Not very much at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That of course that church has been out there for 200 years, but it was out in the country back then. You know.
Well, we visited 2 other churches when we first got here,
Mm-hmm.
but we liked hometown church.
Yeah.
And the people were so friendly. They were very gracious, and we felt at home there.
Yeah. Good. Tell me, or tell everybody about, because I think a lot of people missed out not getting to meet Joe. Tell everybody a little bit about Joe.
Well, Joe, when he retired, military men who were soldiers fighting, they didn't have a career base.
Right.
And a gentleman offered him a mobile home
Mm-hmm.
to run, and a small mobile home park
Right.
off Casita Road. And from there, he learned how to do air conditioning
Mm-hmm.
and set up in a yard, I guess, in front of an old house, and then built up a business,
Mm-hmm.
AAA Heating and Air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from there, he went into mobile home parks.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up with 3 or 4 different mobile homes in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one was a bigger park. And he had, I think when he died, he still had 5 mobile home parks that he was in charge of. But he had a lady who ran the office, and she took that. But he was always there.
Right.
Even when he was sick, he wouldn't stay home. He went to work. He had to be the one to make the decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
He kept right on, even though he was sick. He didn't ever slow down.
Yeah.
When he had the AAA, one of the things he did was take care of people in need.
Mm-hmm.
There was one man of color that would come in and say, "Mr. Joe, I needs a little loan." He'd get some money. He'd go away, and when next month he'd come back and give him exactly how much he had borrowed.
Mm-hmm.
And next month he'd do the same thing.
Right. Right.
And then finally he got where he was not able to keep enough money to buy lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe would say, "Go down there and get your lunch." And that he told the people that there, give him lunch every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what he did. He paid for the lunch every day. That's the kind of thing he did for the people, not the ones who worked for him, but the people in the area.
Right. Yeah. And he he was noted for his military service too. I know he
Yes.
had 2 Bronze Stars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Purple Hearts.
yeah.
He had several Purple Hearts.
Yeah. I read the description of his Bronze Stars when I was at your house there, and it's pretty harrowing stuff.
He didn't talk about it much.
Right. Well, just the description was, was a lot. Just what was recorded.
He had 2 dates that he never was able to get rid of, I guess, that he would have sorrow in his eyes.
Yep. Yeah.
One of them was the 3rd of July. They got in an ambush, and a lot of his group, their names are on the wall. And he would go to the wall and and the other one was the 17th of March. He had an incident where he was hit. And the little man, I guess whoever had the radio behind him, there was a sniper, and he thought he had been hit, but he wasn't. The radio guy behind him was killed. And he figured, why me, Lord?
Yeah.
Why not me instead of the man behind me?
Wow. Yeah.
So those kinds of things he doesn't talk about.
Yeah. It's a lot for those guys to carry.
Yes.
Yeah.
But every time he was overseas, I'll tell you this, when he was overseas and would send a picture home, it was always with a child in it.
Yeah.
He would be talking to a child or giving a child something.
Yeah.
He loved the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter where he was.
Yeah. And you spent your life serving kids, your own, and now, you told me 10 great-grandchildren, right?
10 great-grands, 14 grands.
Did you teach different ages in your career? Or?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. I started out teaching business education in high school.
Okay. All right.
And then I got certified for junior high, and I taught at St. Mary's Road Elementary School, 7th and 8th grade math.
Okay.
When they moved, and I had my 3rd child, and they moved the elementary school over to a different building for all the intermediate schools instead of the elementary schools. And they knew that I was interested in physical activities. And they asked me to teach the girls' athletic program.
Okay.
So for 2 years, I taught that at Eddy Junior High.
Okay.
When I went to Hawaii, I went back to high school.
Yeah.
Taught high school in Hawaii.
Yeah. Now, you still stay pretty active.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to make you tell your age, but maybe through some of the math. Last time.
Well, I'm 16.
16, perfect, yeah. But you stay pretty active. You stay walking, and you at least once a week go line dancing.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Yeah. Christy keeps threatening to make her and I go. So I think she told Judy we might go sometime. I'm not sure if that's going to work out, but yeah, you still stay pretty active, and you're active in the church. You've been active in the church for since y'all came back there in the 70s, right? And have served in all kinds of ways in the nursery.
In the nursery.
Yeah, as helping people with their weddings.
Yes.
Yeah, and y'all have been one of the great things that y'all have always done really minister and take care of people going through times of loss, and helping them to celebrate milestones there at the church. One of the things that I admired about y'all is how quickly y'all pitch in and can throw a party, or serve a meal, or and to watch y'all work and get all that stuff done is pretty great.
That Sunshine Joy class
Mm-hmm.
has been very active for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, and really, have become basically the core of Mount Zion, as Mount Zion have declined in attendance over the years. It's really y'all's Sunday school class that was really the core of keeping everything going and together there, wasn't it?
Well, and the men's class
Yeah.
was good at one time, very active, very strong in what they did with the church.
Yeah. Well, that was just y'all's husbands that you told what to do.
I don't think we told them what to do. They wouldn't be told what to do.
But
Strong-willed men.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if you remember. Well, just give a little bit of history. We'll come back around to that. But so you remembered me from attending there when I was a teenager.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which made me a little nervous. But
I could remember the name of your girlfriend, but I won't say it.
yeah, that's probably don't mention that. But yeah, so you actually, I don't know that a lot of folks actually remembered me, but you actually did.
I did.
And so when we came back around, we're talking about the possibility of bringing the ministries together. Maybe just talk a little bit about where Mount Zion was at that point, and the conversations y'all were having, at least to your knowledge, about what the future of the church was and what some of the concerns were there.
Well, one of the big concerns at that time was the congregation, number-wise, had deteriorated because of people moving away for jobs, people dying out, and a lot of people were not coming because we weren't going to have a regular minister all the time. The minister had moved to a different. He went to missionary work instead of to being a pastor.
Yep.
And so, in order to find a pastor who would take a small church for the amount of salary we could afford as a small church, was going to be a very big problem.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a common problem for churches that are that come down to a certain size, and it's hard. It's hard to find a full time. You can't afford a full time pastor.
That's right.
And so that's one of the benefits of what we're doing is that we get to share staff between a couple of churches. It takes a little extra effort, but the combination, the partnership really does benefit both locations because we're able to share staff and resources. So y'all found yourself in that position, and I guess you had some temporary fill-in folks coming and just trying to figure things out. And that was about the time I asked if I could meet with some of the leadership there, and got to meet with Andra and Morris and talk with them. And they had some conversations about possibility of different partnerships and trying to sort things out. But there was, I think, maybe I got my foot in the door with the conversation because some people over there knew me and had some history there, and they were so kind in those conversations and really wanted to hear what it was I thought we could do as partnering churches together. And but I'm sure it had to be a little, maybe if scary is not the right word, but at least like there was some unknown about, because it's kind of a different thing that what we've done between the churches, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we did not, as a whole group, want the building not to be used for what it was built for.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the part that everybody kept in their prayers. What do we do to keep this building from being not used at all?
Right.
Empty.
Yeah. And so many people over the years have sacrificed for that building,
That's right.
gave up vacations to contribute to building projects or spent their vacation to work on projects there. No, I guess it would have been the building of the new sanctuaries before your time there, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, the history of that they built the basement part first and had worship in there until they could build up the rest of it. And so, yeah, when I think about that, and then y'all, the two Sunday school classes and the other people who were there, really working hard to sustain things and to make sure there was a gospel witness, going out from that place. I think that's for me. And for the Fort, that's what we want. We want to make sure that these places that God already has these places, right? People have poured their lives into them, and there absolutely can be continued ministry from there. But sometimes it just needs some innovation and some partnership. We need help sometimes.
That's right.
So when they started talking about the partnership between our two churches, what were some of the things that were there any worries among the group?
Well, when you have a church that has had one person or a group of people in charge of the finances,
mm-hmm.
and you know them,
mm-hmm.
and you trust them,
mm-hmm.
and then somebody else is going to be in charge of finances, and you don't know them, and
right.
you don't know whether you can trust.
Right. Yeah.
And that begins to be a little discussion among the people who are still in the church.
Right, right.
How is this going to work?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was one of the things that many people were concerned about.
Right. That was in really weren't too many meetings discussing our coming together. Y'all kind of surprised me the one night when I went over there on Wednesday night and kind of laid out some ideas about what we could do. And anyway, Joe was there at that meeting, and a lot of questions were asked, and I tried to answer as best I knew at that time what we were going to try and do. But finally, I think Joe was ready to go home.
Probably was.
So Joe said, I can't remember exactly how he asked it, but something about were we paying our bills, or what did our finances look like? And I told him, I said, well, we got no debt, we got $100 and something thousand in the bank, and we're paying our bills. And he goes, okay, let's vote. And I think what I took from him was like, all right, they're not coming to get our money. He felt like at that point, that the heart was there, the good intentions were there, and nobody was trying to come and steal anything from the folks at Mount Zion. And so, he's the one who called for the vote in that meeting. I remember that.
He would do that.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't hem and haw. Let's get to it.
Yeah,
if we're going to do it, let's do it. Just don't drag it out."
Yeah, and so. So from your perspective, how's it gone since then? We've had a couple of crazy years with COVID and all that, but I mean, apart from that, I mean, how's it gone?
We're always going to have, where there's change, you're going to have somebody who says, I don't like it.
Right.
Yeah.
How about you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not here for how the church looks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here because I want to hear the gospel preached.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to feel worship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who the preacher is or who the song leader is, as long as it is worshipful and of the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you get away from the Bible, I'm going to have a problem.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
I just, but that's my person. That's me.
Yeah.
I don't care if there is 5 people on the stage in the band. I don't care if there is a cage around the drums.
Yeah.
that was one that somebody didn't like.
Yeah, yeah.
And different people have an idea that the church should be just like it was when we knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make any changes.
Right, right.
And that's not the way it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to, there's always going to be change.
Mm-hmm.
There may be even more change later on.
Mm-hmm.
But if it grows
Yeah.
and there's change, that's going to be good change, not a bad change.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel about the change we've had.
Mm-hmm.
I think the changes have been good for the Mount Zion campus and for the Eastern Heights campus.
Yes.
We can work together for the good of all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what's been happening.
Yeah, it's been, certainly from my perspective, it has. And a big part of the joy for me is my relationship with you and the other folks that have been there for a long time. Y'all are such an encouragement to me, and really to even if you haven't liked some of the changes, y'all have been, at least to everybody's face, been very encouraging and loving and passing out hugs, and it's been a real blessing, not just to me personally, but my family, and then the rest of the Fort family. Y'all have been very encouraging. It's been good.
One of the things that I liked, I guess, that's not the way most churches used to do it, is that you don't pass a collection plate anymore.
Yeah.
There is a box in the back, and you can put something in there whether anybody knows it or not.
Yeah.
And it's nobody's business but your own. Nobody sees what you do or you don't do. And that had been happening in a church that we were in Panama Canal Zone. They never passed a collection plate. There was a box in the back.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a real good way to do it. And I was happy to see that done in our church.
Yeah.
So maybe nobody else had that.
Right. Yeah, that was, I think, partly, it came out of COVID, but I kind of like the change too. I like that we got the box in the back. We don't really have to talk about it much, and let's be between you and the Lord, and you cheerfully give as God leads you. And so yeah. Any other positive things out of what's happened between our churches?
I also like the way we do I don't know how you do it, but when we have the Lord's Supper, I like the way that we do it more often than we had been doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's good.
Yeah. How about anything with any new people you've met? You were telling me how you enjoy meeting new people.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
And there were some who sit behind me. There was a young man. I think they used to sit in front of me. It was a young man and a girlfriend. I think they're married now. And it looks to me like they are part of the youth program. I'm not sure. I don't remember their names.
David and Caitlin, yeah.
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting that they were always so engrossed in what they were doing, singing and everything. So it's good to see that. I enjoy seeing the young people.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of babies born in the last several months, so that's fun. So God's doing good stuff through this, and there's a long life ahead for the Mount Zion location, and whatever its name is in the future. It may not always be the Fort. It's the other thing that y'all were very encouraging to me about is when I came to talk to you about Family in Christ Church coming and sharing the space with us. Your class was very encouraging about that.
I think that's wonderful that somebody else can use it. It won't stay empty.
Right.
That if they needed a place to worship,
Yeah.
And we have a space.
And
use it.
they're loving it, and they're making positive improvements to the building. They're fixing things up, and so it's been really good. It's been really good. So
There have been no problems that I know about.
no, it's been awesome. It's been very positive. Yeah.
Even on Wednesday nights when we're there, and as I leave, there's still cars in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. Pastor Javier said he enjoys getting to talk to y'all a little bit as y'all are breaking up from Bible study and they're getting started. They go late. Whew, I'm in bed by the time they leave. So
I don't know what time they leave. I'm gone before they leave.
Yeah, they go late. But Miss Dorothy, thank you for coming and talking a little bit. Is there anything else that you'd want to say about what we've done and partnering the churches to continue the ministry forward, or maybe some encouragement? Like if there was somebody in Mount Zion's situation trying to figure out if they should do something like what we've done with a partner church, is any encouragement or advice or warning you'd give to them?
I think that the thing they should do is to pray about it and let the Lord lead them to what is best for them and what is best for the churches and their church and for them. But to be open-hearted, accept what is offered. If you listen, you'll find the answer.
Miss Dorothy, I love you. Thank you.
I love you too.
All right. Appreciate you doing this.